For decades, Barry Gibb has remained silent about the untold truth of his younger brother, Andy Gibb's tragic life. But now, at 78, he's breaking his silence. What dark family secret has Barry been hiding all these years? And how does it all tie into Andy's untimely death? You won't believe what he reveals. Could the truth behind Andy Gibb's downfall have been avoided? Was there more to his death than anyone ever knew? Barry Gibb, the legendary Bee Gees frontman, has seen more than his fair share of heartbreak and triumph. But the greatest loss he's ever had to face was that of his younger brother, Andy Gibb, who seemed to have it all: talent, charm, and a promising career. Yet, his life ended in tragedy at the age of 30. For years, Barry kept his emotions bottled up, never fully revealing what went wrong. But now, decades later, he's opening up about the untold story of Andy's struggles and the heartbreaking truth that has haunted him for years: the Gibb legacy. At 78, Barry Gibb, one of the most iconic figures in music history, has finally decided to open up about his brother, Andy Gibb, revealing secrets that have been kept for decades. For over half a century, Barry has carried the weight of his family's musical legacy, but also the deep grief of losing his brothers. The truth about Andy's rise to fame and his tragic downfall has long been hidden behind the fame and the music. Now, after decades of silence, Barry is speaking out, offering fans a deeper understanding of his brother's struggles. This revelation may change the way we view not just Andy, but the entire Gibb family saga. Barry Gibb, the beginning of a legend. Barry Gibb was born on September 1st, 1946, in Douglas, on the Isle of Man. From an early age, it was clear that he had a unique talent for music. With his brothers Robin and Morris by his side, Barry's journey in music began in Australia, where the Gibb family relocated in the 1950s. Their passion for music and dedication to their craft saw them perform in small venues, and their sound quickly resonated with listeners, eventually propelling them to international stardom. As the musical leader of the Bee Gees, Barry's commitment to his art shaped the band's sound and direction, laying the foundation for what would become one of the most successful musical groups in history. The Bee Gees, a cultural revolution. In the late 1960s and 1970s, the Bee Gees became synonymous with the disco era, transforming the music landscape with their unique blend of pop and dance music. Songs like "Stayin' Alive," "How Deep Is Your Love," and "Night Fever" became timeless anthems that defined an entire generation and cemented the Bee Gees as the kings of disco. Barry's signature falsetto voice became one of the most recognizable in music history, and, as the primary songwriter, he shaped the direction of the group's music. The Bee Gees not only dominated the charts, but also created a cultural movement with their music, influencing fashion, dance, and lifestyle in the late 70s. Barry's role as a songwriter and producer. Barry Gibb's musical genius was not limited to his work with the Bee Gees. His songwriting ability crossed multiple genres, and his influence extended beyond his own band. Barry wrote chart-topping hits for legendary artists across pop, R&B, country, and adult contemporary music. His collaborations with stars such as Barbra Streisand, Diana Ross, and Kenny Rogers showcased his versatility and his ability to craft songs that resonated with a wide range of audiences. With over 1,000 songs written, Barry is one of the most successful songwriters in history, and his influence on music continues to be felt today. His achievements have earned him recognition in the Songwriters Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, solidifying his legacy as a musical icon. The pain of family tragedy. While Barry's career was filled with success, his personal life has been marked by unimaginable pain. The Bee Gees were not just a group, they were brothers, bonded by both blood and music. Over the years, Barry has endured the heartbreaking loss of his brothers, Andy, Maurice, and Robin. Each loss weighed heavily on him, but the death of Andy in particular left a profound impact. Andy, once a rising star, tragically passed away at the young age of 30, and Barry has carried that pain with him. His ability to continue honoring his brother's memories while navigating the loss of his family speaks to his incredible strength and resilience. Barry's journey is a testament to his ability to persevere in the face of overwhelming grief. Andy Gibb, the star who shined too bright. Andy Gibb, Barry's younger brother, was a rising artist who won over millions of fans with his voice and charm. He had the potential to be as successful as the Bee Gees, but regrettably, Andy's life took a devastating turn. Andy had a successful career with classics like I Just Want to Be Your Everything and Shadow Dancing, but it ended too soon because of personal problems, including addiction and the stress of being famous. Andy was clearly very talented, but his problems with himself got in the way of his career. Barry has always felt bad about not being able to help his brother reach his full potential. Now, after so many years, he's ready to tell the whole story about Andy's struggles. What made Andy fall, and was there anything that could have been done to save him? Barry Gibb, a legend who never gives up. Barry Gibb has lost a lot of people in his life, yet he has stayed strong and kept making music that fans all over the world love. He is still one of the most revered people in the music business, not just because of his work with the Bee Gees, but also because of how strong he has been in the face of personal tragedy. Barry's shows still wow audiences of all ages, and no one else can connect with fans on a personal level like he can. He pays tribute to his brothers through his music, making sure that their memory goes on. Barry is more than simply a musician. He is a symbol of strength and proof that music and family can help heal even the worst wounds. What he went through to get famous. The strains of fame have affected Barry Gibb's personal life in the same way they have affected his music career. In 1966, he married Maureen Bates for the first time. At the time, his career was just starting to take off. Barry was catapulted into the spotlight at the young age of 19, and it was very hard for him to keep a relationship going while his career was taking off. The couple's marriage dissolved in 1970, which was the start of a lot of problems for Barry. This short chapter in his life shows how hard it is for many young stars to find a balance between their personal happiness and the pressures of fame. The end of his first marriage was the beginning of a long journey of self-discovery and strength. A new chapter of love and security. Barry Gibb discovered love again after his first marriage ended. He met Linda Gray, a former Miss Edinburgh, while they were filming the BBC show Top of the Pops in London. This meeting was a stroke of luck, and it started a deep and lasting affair. They hit it off right away, and on Barry's 24th birthday, September 1st, 1970, they got married. This was the start of what would be one of the longest-lasting marriages in show business. Their marriage became the most important thing in Barry's life, giving him the stability he needed to get through both personal and work problems. A legacy of love, building a family. Barry and Linda not only had a good marriage, but they also had a strong family. Stephen, Ashley, Travis, Michael, and Alexandra are their 5 children. Their oldest son, Stephen Gibb, became a musician like his father. Stephen has worked with rock and heavy metal bands as a guitarist and lyricist. This shows how several musical styles have influenced the Gibb family. Barry also loves being a grandfather to 7 grandchildren, who have offered him a lot of happiness. He has talked a lot about how his family has kept him grounded and given him balance and a sense of purpose in the middle of the many demands of celebrity. Dual citizenship, a link to both worlds. Barry and Linda made the important choice to become U.S. citizens while keeping their British citizenship in 2009. This dual citizenship showed that Barry still loved his British roots and that he had a strong connection to the United States, where he had achieved a lot of success in his career. Barry had lived in the U.S. since 1974, but he still owned a home in the U.K., which connected him to his roots. Barry was able to combine the best of both worlds by living on 2 continents, a friendship with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, another music legend, was also a part of Barry Gibb's personal life. Barry talked about their bond in a 2014 interview and said that Michael regularly stayed with the Gibb family in Miami. Michael liked Barry's family's house better than the turmoil of hotel life at the moment. Barry remembered Michael's strange, infantile behavior, like when he sat in the kitchen and watched admirers outside his hotel room on TV, laughing with his trademark hee-hee. Even though Jackson was having a lot of problems in public, like his very public court issues, Barry said they never talked about the trial. Instead, they talked about how much they both loved music. They respected each other and worked together on songs. And they even enjoyed wine together until Michael fell asleep on the floor. A part of the history of American music, Barry Gibb bought Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash's historic mansion in Hendersonville, Tennessee, in January 2006. He planned to turn it into a creative environment, a songwriting retreat. Barry wanted to fix up the house, mixing his musical vision with the tradition of one of America's most famous musical dynasties. Sadly, the house burned down during repairs in April 2007. The loss was terrible, but Barry didn't let it stop him. He built a new house on the property to make sure that the land's creative energy would inspire future generations. In the end, he sold the estate in 2014, ending a chapter that was full of promise and sadness. The real story about Andy Gibb. Barry Gibb, who is 78 years old, finally talked about his youngest brother, Andy Gibb, in a way he had never done before. Barry had kept his own sadness hidden for years, choosing to focus on Andy's amazing talent instead of the problems that had plagued his life. But now that Barry has thought about his life and the problems that come with family, he is ready to be honest and transparent. He admits that his connection with Andy has always been a mix of pride, remorse, delight, and sadness. A star with unused talent. Barry says that Andy was a naturally talented singer with a charm that was hard to miss. Barry sensed greatness in his younger brother Andy from the first time he performed. He thought Andy had skill that was as good as the Bee Gees' success as a group. Andy became famous all over the world with hits like I Just Want to Be Your Everything and Shadow Dancing. But Barry knew how fragile a young man might be when he became famous too quickly. Andy became famous too quickly, and because he wasn't emotionally ready for the stress, it was hard for him. The dark side of fame, being addicted and weak. Barry told Andy that he was addicted to something, which was one of the hardest things he had to say. Barry says that even though his family loved and supported him, he felt helpless seeing Andy go into his demons. Barry had been afraid to talk about Andy's problems in public for years because he didn't want to eclipse his brother's legacy. Barry, who is now 78, admits that Andy's addiction had a negative effect on his life. He thinks about how painful it is to know that no matter how much love they gave him, Andy couldn't get away from drugs and the problems they caused him emotionally. Barry feels really upset and wonders whether there was anything else he could have done to aid his brother, a cut that never healed. Barry was heartbroken when Andy died in 1988 at the age of 30. He never really got over the death of his sibling. Barry says that even with all the Bee Gees' success and fame, Andy's absence was always there in the background. Every time Barry hears Andy's songs or thinks about the good times they had together, he remembers how sad he is about what they lost too quickly. Even still, Barry talks about how Andy's music and the memory of the people who loved him keep him alive. Andy left behind more than just a brother. Barry says that Andy was more than just the younger brother of the Bee Gees. He was an important part of the Gibb family's history. Andy was a big part of Barry's life and work, and even after he died, he is still a big part of Barry's life and work. Barry takes a bit of Andy with him in every song he writes and every show he puts on. Andy may have left us too soon, but his effect on the Gibb family and the music industry will remain forever. Barry's last thought, a love that lasts, even after death. Barry Gibb's touching tribute to his brother Andy at age 78 shows how much they loved and cared for each other. Barry said that Andy was a shining star who was full of skill and life but was weighed down by the stress of being famous. Barry's life was forever changed by his sad death, and it took him a long time to completely realize how it affected him. Barry makes sure that Andy's legacy stays strong by sharing his music, memories, and personal tales. The love they had as brothers will carry on forever. A deep regret. The last time Barry saw Andy. Barry Gibb talked about the heartbreaking time when his younger brother Andy died, just 5 days after his 30th birthday. A big event that should have been a time to celebrate turned into one of the worst times of Barry's life. Barry said, "We had a fight not long before his birthday. His voice full of sadness. "I never thought that would be the last time I saw him alive. I take that with me every day." The regret of not having reconciled with Andy before his untimely death has stuck with Barry, a burden that still weighs hard on his heart. The two-sided sword of fame. Barry wishes he could have kept his brother safe from the pressures that came with fame. Barry said that being famous was like a sword with two edges. Barry added, "I wish I could have done more to protect him from it." Andy was at the height of his fame, but there was also a darker side that he had a hard time dealing with. Even though Barry and the family loved and supported Andy, the expectations of celebrity were too much for him to handle. Andy was also very vulnerable, which made him more likely to be affected by the bad things that frequently come with success. A brother's guilt, the burden of duty. Barry talked about his feelings of remorse and responsibility throughout the conversation. These feelings have been with him since Andy died. Barry has always felt like he had to help and lead Andy since he is the bigger brother. But he admits that love isn't always enough. Barry said, "I always tried to help him and guide him. But sometimes love isn't enough when someone is fighting their own battles." These remarks were very sad, but they also showed how much Barry loved his brother. He still feels bad that he couldn't help Andy with his problems, a part of Barry that will never come back. For Barry, losing Andy at such a young age was like losing a part of himself. Barry said, "It's something that never really goes away." Andy wasn't there, and that made everything else seem less important. Even with all of the Bee Gees' accomplishments, awards, and acclaim, Barry's memories of their time together are always sad because he lost his brother when he was so little. The agony of Andy's death is a wound that has never really healed, even if years have passed. Final thoughts. A brother's lasting legacy. Barry Gibb's statements have made the complicated relationship between him and his brother Andy clearer at the age of 78. Barry has finally been able to express the deep feelings he's had for years via his sadness and love. Andy left behind a legacy that will live on via his music, his memory, and the friendship he had with Barry. Barry talks about his loss and the deep love that goes beyond death in this honest perspective. The Gibb brothers' story is about love that has no bounds. Even though Andy is no longer with us, those who loved him most will always feel his presence in their hearts. We can only guess how much of Andy's fate was affected by the stress of celebrity, family, and addiction now that Barry has finally spoken up. Barry's stories provide us a look at how complicated it can be to love, lose, and keep secrets from your siblings for a long time. The Gibb brothers may have made some of the best music ever, but their family's narrative is one of suffering, loss, and things that were never said. Will this be the end that Barry and Andy's fans have been waiting for, or is it just another piece of a sad puzzle? We'll have to wait and see. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell for more videos like this.